Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to this. This is just a way for me to communicate to you what the Youth Commission is. So I tried to have a Zoom meeting, and some of you were able to make it, but I know right now is a hectic time and it's really crazy. So if you weren't able to make it, here is a recording of the presentation I gave for everyone. I know I just want to keep communication up, and then also your children are starting to participate in this whole new group, this whole new atmosphere, and getting engaged in their city. So I want to make sure you understand what they're getting involved in and what they're doing, because it's truly awesome, the leadership that they're going to have. So, introductions. My name is Bryce Lidkey. I'm on the left. I'm the current chair of the Youth Commission. I'm a senior at Shawnee Heights High School, and next year I plan to go to Washburn University to study pre-med and biology on my way to becoming a doctor. And then on the right is our current vice chair of the Youth Commission. That is McKenna Orton. She is awesome. She is also a senior at Shawnee Heights High School. These two people, myself and McKenna Orton, will be the main people you'll be talking to if you ever have questions, have concerns that you need to talk to us about. The chair and the vice chair are going to be the people that you want to reach out to. So I just wanted to put a face to a name. So, without further ado, the Topeka Youth Commission, TYC, what is that? What are we? So, what happened was in 2018, we brought in, another group brought in a organization called Youth on Boards from Boston, Massachusetts. And in Boston, they have a really strong youth commission, and also their leaders there go out across the nation and talk about what can we do to increase youth engagement, why is youth engagement important, what does that look like in individual cities. And so by listening to them and going to that leadership summit, we came up with the idea of creating a youth commission. And so in mid to late 2018, five of us started forming what would be known as the Topeka Youth Commission. And so our goal is to engage youth in all areas of Topeka. We understand that a lot of our amazing leaders, such as our mayor, county commissioners, CEOs of companies, they're making decisions that are super important for our community. And a lot of times the decisions they're making, they will not see the end. They will not see their decisions come to fruition, but the next generation will. And so a lot of these really important decisions that they're making need to include the youth voice, because that's who it's going to be affecting. And so when we're talking about things like retention, talent retention, when we're talking about how do we increase our population, we need to start thinking about how can we make this city a place for the next generation that wants to stay. And so in order to do that, we want to engage youth in all areas of Topeka. And so we do this through our three core values. We value voice for youth, voice in the community, diversity within our organization, and then also investment of time in the city and investment into our organization if you're a member. And so that looks all good on paper, but what does this look like in real life? So we work to create influence, involve youth, and advocate for youth. So we want to create influence for youth. A lot of times being a youth leader is hard, and we don't always get recognition or credit. And so we want to start to create that influence so youth do have a voice in our city. And of course, we want to involve and advocate for what youth want. And so like I was saying, youth leadership can be really hard. You don't always have the experience you need or want. You aren't always listened to by everyone. And so we have to stick together. And this is a huge, huge goal of mine at the Youth Commission. I want everyone to support each other, guide each other, grow together, engage with each other, and overall, we're going to advocate for youth. And so, just like any family, you don't have to like everyone in your family, but you're still going to be a family at the end of the day. And that's what I want the Youth Commission to be, is one big family of youth, okay? Leadership is hard. It's often lonely at the top. I know that's a cliche saying, but leadership can be a very lonely area. And so by having this youth commission, this lifelong bond that we're going to be creating over this next year, it's a really invaluable opportunity to grow as leaders. And so here's just a few things I want to highlight. In the top left is our grub crawl. That was the major event we did last year. We hear all the time as youth that our peers say, oh, we hate Topeka, we want to leave, we want to get out of this city, I'm never coming back, this city sucks, there's nothing to do here. The Topeka Grub Crawl, TYC Grub Crawl, was a way to bring youth downtown, show them what we have going on, the amazing things that are happening, that it's not just a deadbeat city, and then also tour them around restaurants for only $2. So that accomplished two things. One, it got people downtown that would not normally be downtown to witness that atmosphere. And two, some people just don't have the financial means to be able to eat downtown. Um, and so by subsidizing that cost for only $2, they could go to 5 restaurants. And so that was two things that we wanted to accomplish, and those happened within the grub crawl. The middle in the top is registering people for voter engagement. We had over 20 people registered that day, and so we also got donations that day. But that was just a really cool event that we could work within our city to engage people in voter registration. And then the top right and bottom left, these are two events that the Youth Commission was invited to. So as being a part of the Youth Commission, you will be invited, your children will be invited to events. And so this in the top right was State of the Community. Just like State of the Union, our city does a little presentation. And so what would usually be a $40 ticket, we got in for free because we were in the Youth Commission. And then we also had 3 of our Youth Commission members speak at the event. So a huge honor for us, and you'll get invited to events all the time. If you say yes, then you'll get free food often. And so the bottom, same thing, just another event that we were a part of, and that was the YWCA. We got to see one of our adult mentors, Carolyn Ward, get an award. So that was a really cool experience for us to be invited to as well. And then the bottom middle is a bonding experience we did. This was an escape room. Super fun, just a way for us to get to know each other better, get engaged more, create that family that we want. And then the bottom right is our picture from our first board retreat. Obviously, our retreat this year has been postponed due to COVID, but eventually, when it's safe, we will have a retreat to get to know each other a lot better. So, with that being said, how do we operate? The Youth Commission is split into 3 different subcommittees, and that's how we operate. That's how we organize ourselves. So overall, we have the Youth Commission. We are underneath the Greater Topeka Partnership. They are our fiscal agent and also our organizational home. So the Greater Topeka Partnership, we are under them. And then the Youth Commission is broken up into 3 different subcommittees. So the first subcommittee is the government subcommittee. So this is for people that are, you like love legislation, maybe you want to be in politics someday. If you're a poli-sci major, this is your area. If you're a lawyer and you like drafting legislation, anything political, this is your subcommittee. It also houses the Top City Youth Council, which that is the TYC. And that is the area of the Youth Commission that's actually within the city. They operate just like the city council does. They have meetings quarterly with the mayor. They meet monthly with their city council member. And so it's just a really good way to get them involved in municipal government. And so that's kind of our government subcommittee. Now, if you're like me and maybe you fall asleep after you start reading whereas clauses, the government subcommittee might not be your place. So we wanted to create a broader scope for everyone to have their interests met. So we have the community outreach. This is the subcommittee that planned the grub crawl that I talked about earlier. They are the ones that really want to highlight what Topeka has, create events for youth so youth stop saying, well, there's nothing to do in Topeka. We don't have anything to do. This is the group that tries to change that by creating events for youth. And then our final subcommittee gets us involved in our community. They do that by hosting volunteer events, get us volunteering, get us out there into our community, get our hands dirty in our community. And then also they create fun events for youth commission members so that we can get to know each other more, so we can have a greater impact with involvement. So some things you need to know as parents about what our commission is. We do have monthly meetings and they are required. So when your child says, I have a youth commission meeting, chances are they do have a youth commission meeting, and if possible, please let them go to that because they are required meetings. They happen on the 4th Monday of every month. So on the 4th Monday of every month, we have a meeting from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Greater Topeka Partnership. I think it's 719 South Kansas Avenue, but it's the really tall building downtown that has US Bank at the top of it. We are on the 6th floor of that building, but every 4th Monday from 6 to 8, you are welcome to attend. Even as adults, we have open meetings, so anybody is able to attend, but you just won't be sitting at the table with the youth, and you won't have a lot of input other than our public comment session. Something that we think is really important is the passenger seat mentality. So as youth leaders, as leaders in general, it's really easy to take over and just do everything. And I even struggle with this a lot too. And I know a lot of our youth commission members do. But when a youth member is thinking about driving a car, it's really important that they're in the driver's seat, they're pushing on the brake and the gas, they're doing the turn signal, they're the ones steering the car, while the parent is in the passenger seat, probably freaking out a little bit, but they're in the passenger seat making sure that their child is safe. And so what we want to do is we want to set that same scene for leadership. We want the youth to be the leader. We want the youth to be getting their hands dirty, but the parent can be in the passenger seat, help guiding them. What we don't want is adults taking over for the youth, because they're never going to learn that way. And so we just want you to be in the passenger seat, guide the youth. There's times that absolutely you're going to need to step in and help, but for the most part, we want to hear from the youth and we want them to be in control. And so with that, one of my huge goals is we are here for everyone. Leadership, I don't think, is by race or creed or what you believe in or who you are or anything like that, how much money your parents make, how much money you make. I think leadership is a position, and it's simply that, and should not be restricted to anyone. And so if there is something preventing your child from being the best leader they can be, whether it's they don't have enough money to get food at night, or they don't have transportation to the meetings, if they don't have dress clothes for the meetings, anything at all, please, please, please contact me. I will put my number in the email. I trust you guys with my number, but I don't want anyone to be prevented from being a leader just because of the circumstances they're in. And we have funds at the Youth Commission that we can most definitely help out, or I can personally help out. It is a huge, huge thing I believe in, that everyone is a leader no matter what. And so the final point, we are led by youth and created by youth and for youth. And so we want to hear from the youth. So if your child is not going to be at a meeting, or there's something that they don't understand in a meeting, or if there's something they need clarification on, whatever the case may be, if at all possible, we want the youth commission member to be the one to reach out. We want them to be the one to send the email, to write the email. We want all the communications coming from them. And so if you email me and you're like, hey, just so you know, Timmy will not be at the youth commission meeting because he has a doctor's appointment, I'm probably going to respond, thank you, please have Timmy email me. Because I really want youth to be able to start to develop that leadership. And I think the best way to learn is to do. So some tips for adults, and this came from Boston Youth on Boards, so I just want to pass them on to you. Let the youth run. Don't try to limit them. Maybe guide them a little bit, give them a few parameters, but don't tell them what to do. Just let them run. And this is something I've learned. You'll be amazed in what they can do. And just because it's not how I envisioned it or how you envisioned it doesn't mean it's wrong. Knowledge is not power, which just means, like, basically youth are going to have a lot less experience, but this is the perfect environment to create that experience, because if they fail, it's a really safe environment to fail, and we actually encourage failure because that's how you learn. All of us are going to fail, and we still continue to fail, but it's that we learn, and this is a really safe place to do that. Be respectful of everyone. That goes both ways. Youth need to respect adults. Adults need to respect youth. Everyone has an opinion. Just because it's different than yours, it's not wrong. And then we all need to be open with each other. Leadership is hard and can be stressful. And just being open will solve a lot of those problems. And then finally, some retreat information. This all changed, obviously, because we are no longer having a retreat, or it was supposed to be last month, but COVID kind of said, cancel that event. So we will be looking to have a retreat, hopefully later this summer, but we will do so when it is safe and government officials say it's safe. So there is an event that I do want you to be aware of. The city of Topeka has funding to create 5,000 facial masks for our vulnerable population, mostly the elderly. I've already sent this out in the Topeka Youth Commission group chat, but if anyone is interested in creating facial masks, please contact me. The city of Topeka wants to create 5,000 of them, and they need our help to make that possible. And if you are interested, just please let me know. It's a totally contact-free interchange between the masks and you, and so it's a really safe environment, but we do need your help creating those masks. So with that, if you have any questions, please feel free to respond to this email. I will put my number and personal email down below so you can contact me that way, but I hope you all have a great day. Have a great week, and I hope this clarified a lot of things for you.